Oh, yeah. Movies and movies. What's going on, party peoples? Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for coming back for another episode of BrassReel Tonight, where we talk about everything coming out to the big screen, everything coming out at home to stream, and all the shenanigans going on behind the scenes. And joining me again today, I got my good buddy, Maniac. Maniac, what's up, man?
Hi. I'm good. I mean, you're going to be talking about some films tonight that I don't know a lot about, so I'm going to learn a little bit about it. So looking forward to that.
You know, and that's what I was thinking earlier when you were expressing, you were saying you didn't know much about it. I think that's kind of cool for us to have a little bit of I don't want to say arguing, but banter about some things, because to me, some of the most fun and best conversations comes out of people arguing their differences, or especially with like the Marvel universe, the hypotheticals, you know, the whole, like in Mallrats, when Superman and Wonder Woman and that whole thing, and it's like Lois wouldn't be able to even take it. So yeah, man, we got some. I don't really have any bad news today. Nobody died, nothing like that. No lawsuit news really with ScarJo or anything like that. So all today is just exciting stuff.
Good.
But I can't jump into the show without talking about some sort of Spider-Man news. Just something. You know what I mean?
Come on, then. Let's do it.
Just a little something. So first and foremost, within a 24-hour period, now we know that Spider-Man's taken over, right? I mean, as soon as that trailer came out, it's all everybody's talking about. It's on the news. Everybody's just boom, 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 boom. Every time I've
calmed down a bit today over it. I've learned to relax a little bit. I'm getting patient because it's not coming. It's not coming till December, and I don't really want to see any more of it. Like, I'm excited for it. I watched The Amazing Spider-Man yesterday to try and refresh my memory, just in case Andrew Garfield does come back, which I think he will. But yeah, like, I'm all Spider-Man out at the moment.
Well, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing, because to be overhyped too much too long before it comes out can almost, you know, elevate the expectation to something that they don't need to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I definitely have heard some more things about the Andrew Garfield thing. Maybe the reason they didn't show him in the trailer is because and again, this is all speculation, and this is going to go on for months. No facts behind this, but maybe the reason he's not in the trailer is because when he shows up, he's going to do something like sacrifice himself. Because that's just, again, that's a theory that's starting to float around on some of the sites that I get on and some of the guys I check out. So you remember, like, in Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse movie, the animated one of the Spider-Mans dies to sacrifice himself. So Miles can keep doing what he's doing and actually stop the Kingpin. So who knows? They might incorporate something like that. I think that somebody significant dying would make it very poetic, you know?
Well, nobody, in the nicest way possible, not that many people want to see like a sequel to The Amazing Spider-Man, but everybody's interested in Tobey Maguire coming back. So it makes sense that Andrew Garfield, if he does sacrifice himself, like, not that people won't care, but people want to see more of Tobey. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. Yeah. I think Tobey is the beloved franchise, especially part 1 and 2. But I definitely think that with Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 only being a 2-parter and not a third one, even a bad third one, this would be a cool way for them to sort of tie that trilogy, make it into a tied up storyline. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you think they won't focus on the little subplot with his dad and all that? They won't do any of that, will they?
I mean, the backstory? So. They better not. I don't care about
it. Nobody did.
I think we both agree they don't care about it. But the reason I'm bringing up No Way Home and all that stuff is not necessarily because of that little theory. It's actually because Spider-Man No Way Home has officially beaten the Endgame views in 24 hours as far as the trailers are concerned.
Really?
What does that mean to you?
That means that this is a big deal. This is a very big deal, because that's insanity. Endgame, for me, you know, I love Endgame. It's brilliant. That and Infinity War. For this to have more of an impact than that, I think the word of mouth has just got around. Everybody is absolutely going crazy over it. It's toned down a little bit today, as in people have stopped texting me about it. But the last 2 days, like, all of my friends have been messaging saying, "Have you seen the trailer yet? Have you seen the trailer?" Yes, I've seen the trailer. I've even done a discussion about it. So yeah, that's good news.
I agree, man. I'm definitely excited that it's not lost any sort of buzz, because there was good viewership on the Black Widow trailer and stuff like that, but there was nothing of this viewership on the Eternals trailer and the Shang-Chi trailer. Yeah, people are excited about those movies, but as far as, again, this is a movie that's attracting the casuals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's the one
Spider-Man's
that,
a household name. Shang-Chi, unless you read the comics, you don't know who that guy is. You know,
now with it blowing up and getting the reviews that Shang-Chi is getting, and everybody's saying it truly is a top-notch film, then I think give it some time. Just like Iron Man used to be just for the fanboys and some people knew him. Now he is a household name. You know what I'm saying? Thor is a household name. So give it some time if this movie does have that quality. You know what I'm saying? If it truly is that
I want
good.
it to. Yeah, I want it to. I want that, I want diversity as well. I want that in the MCU. So I think that Guardians of the Galaxy, nobody knew who they were. They got brought to life. You know what I mean? And now it's like everybody knows who they are.
Star-Lord's a Drax. All those are household names, Rocket. I mean, it's so crazy, just on a side note, to think about that Bradley Cooper's a part of the MCU and is very rarely even shared a room with any of those people, except for James Gunn. Same thing with Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel made 60 million for saying I am Groot.
Maybe for the whole franchise. Yeah. Including the Avengers films.
Yeah. 60 million.
But from what I understand, anything you hear from Groot at all, even moans and groans and stuff that even isn't words, they actually used his voice somehow. It's kind of like when they used Lou Ferrigno for the Hulk in Avengers 1. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so anytime the mean big green Hulk in Avengers Part 1 is talking or doing all that stuff, they're using, or if he says like puny human, I think he says that one time, puny god or puny human, whatever.
So they don't just digitize, change the pitch and stuff and Mark Ruffalo, no?
No, they actually, out of homage, only in the first one.
Right, okay.
Out of homage, they use Lou Ferrigno's voice because it was also an event thing. Nobody had ever seen a movie, a culmination like that before. So it's like, hey, let's get old school Lou in there just to give him some nudge, But anyways, just a fun little fact right there. So anyways, just on the coattails again, Spider-Man is crashing the Avengers trailer as far as the viewership in a 24-hour time. So good. That's awesome. And if you think about it, this is going to be a team up film. This isn't going to be just a Spider-Man movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's going to be a bit like Civil War. There's going to be a lot of characters in this.
A lot of characters in it. And definitely. And again, that's a perfect example, I think, is Civil War as a comparison, because it was an Avengers movie. Let's face it. It wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't a Captain America film. It had a little bit more screen time.
Yeah, exactly. But it was an Avengers film. Robert Downey Jr. was almost in it just as much.
Yeah.
So Weinbarger's asking, what's the difference in 24-hour views between the two trailers? I'm not sure exactly what the difference is, and I couldn't find it. And maybe I just wasn't looking in the right spots, but I definitely couldn't find out where that was. But I know that it broke it. So at this point, these records, it is just like an Olympic. If you're in an Olympic race, it's milliseconds, but you still are the winner. So,
yeah,
it's one thing if you're just like, oh, I made 20 million, and it's like, oh, it made 20.5 million. That's pretty much in the same ballpark. But when you're crossing over the billion stuff, in my opinion, it's like every other inch matters so you can stay on top. It's like Avatar and Endgame. They keep going back and forth. Like Avatar was trying to re-release somehow or another, some sort of special edition release so they can inch some more numbers to beat Endgame again. Because for a little while, I don't know if you remember, but like it was back on DVD, Endgame, and they're like, oh, we're going to release it with some scenes that weren't in the film, deleted stuff. That was only because they were trying to beat Avatar in the sales, and they did. And it was a back and forth battle. So right now, it's literally always been between Avatar and Endgame, or at this point, is No Way Home going to be a contender? Do you think No Way Home can bring in that type of stuff during the Delta, during the pandemic, all that stuff?
I think that the release date is pretty good, actually, thinking about it, because that Christmas feel, you're going to have a lot of young and adults who are going to be all pumped for Christmas. We've had an horrific year, and the year before, and then we're getting a film like this. It's a bit like Star Wars coming out at Christmas. It's just, there's something magical about it. So I think it is a good time. I hope it does get released just before Christmas. I think that will add to it. to the the season.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I'm reluctant to say that it can beat what Endgame did in its initial run in the theaters. I'm not talking about the follow-ups like we were just, acknowledging. But if it can do in its initial run, I'm not just fully confident it can because of people not going to the theaters, but they ain't doing a Disney premiere release with this. They can't. There's no way they can.
What's the budget for this movie? Because I know Endgame was like 400 million, wasn't it?
This one's not that big for sure. This one I think is under 300 actually. But I also think that Endgame and Infinity War, they stacked those up as an original movie to film, and then they realized they needed to separate it, and so they started gaining more funding. That was more of a project that got bigger the bigger it got. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So with No Way Home, they've been planning this out for a little while, and I don't think that this is trying to be the event movie that Endgame was, because it's just not. There's not near as many people, but it might be trying to be the same event as Civil War.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, not like I'm not taking any disrespect from the actors, but like Alfred Molina, they're not busy guys. They've signed on to this, but the other guys that are in the Avengers, they've got other projects, and to get them all into the same room was hard work, and they had to spend a lot of money. But with these guys, they're probably more willing, and I'm just excited for it.
Me too. I think there's going to be a lot of heart in it, and just the nostalgia alone is going to be a lot of fun. So what do you guys think? Spider-Man, is it gonna top Avengers in the box office? Is it going to be that next level thing? You think it's just going to be a massive turnout? I think as long as it makes like the 700 or 800 million after it, by the time it's out of the theaters, it'll be a massive, that they'll consider that a huge success. I feel like if it makes 500 million, they'll consider that a huge success right now.
Because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
But when it starts coming out though, and who knows how long it'll be before they release it on Disney Plus. But I tell you this, since the pandemic started, Blu-rays for new release Blu-rays, especially if they're ones that people want to see, are selling out on the shelves here, at least in America. Where I go to buy my stuff, like New Mutants, I still can't get that on Blu-ray because I wasn't going to pay the $24.99 for it. I was going to wait for it to come down. But every time it comes down, it's always sold out. It's always sold out. All these DVDs are selling out. Quiet Place 2 sold out like that on Blu-ray. So I feel like that because of the pandemic, Blu-ray sales are higher than they normally have been before the pandemic.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And that'll have introduced a lot more people to Blu-rays because some people are still using DVDs.
Yeah.
A lot of people are happy to just use DVDs, which amazes me.
Me too. I can't.
Everybody's like
fine wine though.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's like fine wine when you can drink whatever wine for however long. You're like, oh, all wine tastes the same. But until you have that primo wine that was really a lot of effort went into to make this, and years and years of recipe, and then it's like, oh, it's kind of hard to go back now. You cross the threshold that then you're just like, well, now I expect something a little better now. And that's how Blu-ray is for me. And any HD stuff, once I get to it, like now with my PS5, it's really hard for me to play the Xbox One or the PS4.
Is it really?
Yeah. I mean, I can play VR on the PS4 and enjoy it. I mean, I say it's really hard. Obviously I can play it, but the whole time I'm like, this just doesn't look anything as good as what I'm used to.
Yeah, I understand.
The 60 frames per second and all that. So,
but everybody rushed out to go and get a HD TV, but then they're quite happy to put DVDs in the DVD player. And I think, what are you doing, guys? Like, but they don't really know what they're buying.
Well, you can't. That's the biggest thing too. The first time I bought a Blu-ray player, I didn't know that you had to have a good TV. And I say the first time I bought a Blu-ray, I'm talking like this is 12, 13 years ago. Right when Blu-ray came out. And I was like, all right, cool. This is it. It's not HD TV or HD DVD. It's Blu-ray. This is the route it's going. This is the change. Cause there was a little bit of a battle, kind of like VHS and Betamax.
Yeah.
So Blu-ray won. I was like, all right, that's what I'm getting. And then the whole time I was like, well, I don't really see the difference for a good year. And then I figured out, oh, you have to have the right TV. Then once I got the TV, it was like, oh, there you are. It was like, you know what I mean? It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're getting off topic there. I was just talking about Blu-rays, and I think that they're counting on the sales for the Blu-ray. Disney is for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the only damaging thing because they're releasing it at Christmas. It's not going to be the Christmas gift. Do you know what I mean?
That is true.
A big chunk of money it's going to go astray.
That is true. That is very true. However, I don't know, man. Yes, they'd sell more because it's Christmas, but I don't know. Toys will still be out for sure. Merchandise will still be out. That's for damn sure. Well, hey, speaking of toys and merchandise, I just kind of wanted to bring this up a little bit because I'm a big fan of this stuff. But hang on, let me check these comments real fast. Okay, so Brian, my buddy, he just sent in, said Spider-Man 1 has set a new viewership record within 355.5 million global views within the first 24 hours. Endgame was 289 million. Thanks for that, B-Dub. Appreciate that info, man. Yeah. So there you go, dude. I mean, that's not even a small jump either. That's a massive jump. That's almost 100 more million.
I wonder how many of those views was, by the same person, like, the fanboys where you'd watch it maybe 20, 30 times, like.
I mean, I've watched it 15.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have. And a lot of that
just shows you the popularity of the Marvel universe. It's still going strong.
It is. And maybe Marvel knows what they're doing by, like, again, subtly introducing some of these characters you don't care about. And then, but let's keep you attached with the ones we make you love and intertwine these smaller characters in with these bigger characters. And then to where you're naturally caring about the smaller characters at some point later on the road,
Kevin Feige has got it right. Like DC, I don't even know where they'd begin to start something like this.
They just don't. They don't have the fans working for the company, man. They just don't have the fans working for the company. So it's all business people. It's all executives. Marvel is a bunch of people like you and me. I mean, it just is. Because I want to reiterate this. What'd you say?
I said, what a blast that would be working like that.
Oh my God. And everybody that works for Marvel even says that, oh, best experience I've ever had. Like any director that comes and works there, all that, they're just like, they gave me all the freedom in the world, all these things. Again, if you play within the parameters they've already set, because they have a big narrative view, they have a vision.
Yeah.
Nia DaCosta, the girl that's directing Candyman, we'll talk about her in a little bit, but she's directing the new Captain Marvel movie, the sequel, which is called The Marvels. And she's already said, she's like, best filmmaking experience I've had yet. Not because I like the content so much, because the way I was treated and the freedom I got. And it was just like, here, this is your movie. Go do your thing. Just stay within these rules. And that's what makes those movies good and different, is when they do have a significant like signature vibe to them,
Yeah, like Ant-Man has got more comedic value, but it doesn't take it away from the MCU.
It doesn't.
And you could still put Ant-Man in Endgame and he's not a fish out of water. He belongs in there. So,
and part of him being so different and not an actual hero, he's just kind of an accidental hero. It's funny to see him next to Captain America, because he's all like, "Oh, hey, Captain America," like he's all nervous around him.
Yeah, he's like embarrassed and he can't believe where he is. He's a bit like the Flash in the Justice League.
Sure, it is. It's very similar as far as their behavior. But, anyways, what I was going to say about the toys is I'm a big toy collector. Huge toy collector, especially when it comes to NECA. And NECA is a brand that, have you ever heard of Hot Toys?
No, remind me.
So Hot Toys is a brand that, like, the least amount of money you'll pay for one of their toys new is $300.
Is it where they make like small like models, but they look exactly like?
They're usually about a foot tall, and you can move them around and pose them in different ways. And they have all these cool accessories that are from the movies, but they do make them like identical and realistic. Like
I have seen them.
You can take pictures of them and you think it's the actor. You know what I'm saying? It's like, holy shit. Well, those are so expensive. I mean, they get up into the thousands too, depending on what you're buying, like the Thanos and stuff like that. But NECA, I think it's NECA. I think it's NECA, but some people say NECA. It's NECA, and it's just 4 capital letters. They're responsible for doing, to me, the affordable versions of those. When usually they're only about $30 unless you buy like a combo thing or like some sort of massive thing. So like all these toys I have like right here, and I'm going to put myself on the main screen for a second. So all these toys right here, like this Halloween that's got Jamie Lee Curtis in there, they're super realistic. Like this picture of her right there. Let me see if you can see it. Like this is
NECA, yeah?
Yeah, that's a toy. That's not a picture. You know what I'm saying? And I've got like the Halloween. Yes, and this is NECA. I've got the Halloween 2018. I've got a ton of them. All my toys that I have, the Back to the Futures, all those are NECA. And they just released the Michael Myers from the new one with the burnt face. And these are the pictures I found. I know that's a weird close-up angle, but these are the pictures I found. And I'm just stoked, man. Like, look at this one with the fingers.
That's good.
Yeah. And again, $30. And they usually come with interchangeable heads, and just like, this is one from part one. See, he's got the
Are they
head.
limited edition? Like, are they only around for a little while? You remember like the Rocky figures that came out?
Yeah, most of the time they are limited edition. Some of them are more limited edition than the others, but most of the time they are limited edition. And if they aren't, if you see them in stores for a while, that's just because they just haven't gotten rid of the stock yet. But like in 5 years, they're not making this one anymore because they stay current with the movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're actually, their little nickname for it is called Real Toys, like REEL, like movie reel. So it's NECA's version, and they're called Real Toys. And anyways, I just wanted to show that because I'm stoked. Here's a picture of like her and Michael, and this is the 2018 one. And see, look at Jamie Lee. I mean, that's a solid pose from the film, basically. And their clothing just is all really good looking, I think.
Yeah, they've come a long way, haven't they? Like action figures and models and things like that. Like a lot of effort goes into them.
And the Hot Toys are awesome, but I just can't. I can't afford that. So for the $30 range, that's how I've been able to like get a mass collection of stuff and have some fun with it at Halloween time. Put my Gremlins up, put my Freddy and Jason up at Halloween. In the summer, I'll put Gremlins, or at Christmas, I'll do Gremlins. All that stuff. It's just fun. So I just wanted to talk about that for a second because they're just now releasing those pictures, and they aren't out yet, but as soon as they come out, I'm nailing them. But also the Giallo movie is just got released on DVD and Blu-ray today, and yesterday, but it's called The Last Matinee. And I was talking about this recently. You remember me talking about Giallo?
Yeah.
So
Italian. Is it Italian? Yeah.
Very, very Italian. It's and it's got a significant style to it. Very cinematic, over the top, almost comic book pages come to screen in certain lights, but they're also very gory usually. And they like to use, like, you remember how the blood looked in Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah.
Like it looks like paint.
Yeah.
They usually do that in the old school Giallo films. And so I'm not sure if they're doing that in the newer ones. But this one, The Last Matinee, I'm just super stoked about it. It's getting all kinds of great reviews, and they're just like, for Giallo fans, you're going to love this. And so basically it's just this girl who's trying to survive this killer who's inside of a matinee, who's killing all these people during the last showing of this horror film, and he's mad about it or something. I don't know. But
that sounds right up your alley.
Oh boy, I can't wait. Cause to me, that's just that smut horror, man. Like, sometimes I don't want to be, Hereditary. When Hereditary came out, I love that movie. I've seen that. It's really good, but it's so psychologically driven. And there is some imagery in there that'll jack with you for sure. But it's so psychologically driven that sometimes I don't want to be taken to that place in my head. I want to just be more like, you know what I mean?
It's more like a ride that you want to go on.
Exactly. And be slightly disturbed. And just this shot right here is just, I'm loving it, man. Just looks great to me. Little kids obviously watching something and experiencing something brutal going down. And apparently the gore is just off the charts. So that came out. I'm going to be watching that this weekend, and I'm probably going to do a review of it. Not this weekend, because I'm doing my Candyman review, which I'm going to see tonight.
You're looking forward to that?
Oh boy. And that leads me into the next one. Yes. I'm so looking forward to Candyman. Not only because I love the original, and I know you don't know a whole lot about this one, but this new one's getting great reviews, man. It's getting really good reviews.
That's good. That's refreshing to hear, because a lot of remakes and reboots and sequels, they don't do that well. But like you're saying, this has got good reviews. That's good. Is it the same guy?
No, it's as far as playing him.
Yeah.
No. So Tony Todd. Okay. So Tony Todd was the original, and that sort of staked him in as an icon in the horror genre, even though there's only one good Candyman film. Candyman 2 is not good, and the third one's just literally like terrible. But because the first one is so good, he sort of became this iconic character in the horror genre. People like, oh, Freddy, Jason, Michael, what about the Candyman? And Hellraiser with Pinhead and all that stuff was becoming big, and Chucky, and he was just a part of it. And and I want to say that it was like early 90s. It was like 91 maybe that movie came out. In fact, I've got it right here.
Is it 93? I'm guessing 93.
Hang on, I'm about to find it. 92. So we were both wrong. But yeah, goddamn Candyman. Say it 4 more times. I wonder if it'll happen. So I'm really excited about this movie. One, I love the original. I think it's awesome. It's, to me, there's way more to it than just a horror film. There's an awesome story behind the character, and it had a lot of social commentary for the movie at the time, like as far as involving his origin with slavery and stuff like that. And
Yeah, I
and
remember
also,
that. I felt sorry for him. That's what I remember. I felt sorry for him because what they do to him is cruel, and I guess it's his payback at the end of the day.
all because he was cheating, or not cheating, but he was having an affair with his owner's wife.
Yep.
So, and it was back in the slavery days and all that stuff. And, you know, they show a lot more of that origin in part 2, but I'm really excited about this one because it's supposed to be a connection to the first one, but it's not necessarily supposed to be a full on sequel. Now, this one is really cool right here. Well, first off, it's this guy in it, and I can't ever pronounce his name right. I'm really bad at it, and I'm going to try to say it. All right, hang on. You ready?
Yep.
Yaha Abdul Mateen. Is that right?
Sounds good to me.
Yaha Abdul Mateen. Or Mateen?
I've never heard of him. Has he done anything else?
Oh, you know him for sure, baby. Let me show him right here from Aquaman, and he was also Dr. Manhattan in the Watchmen HBO series.
I've never seen it, but I'm sure I'll have seen him before.
You saw Aquaman, right? No. Oh, he was.
I saw parts of it. It was very colorful.
He was Black
so
Manta.
I kind of avoided it.
Yeah, so he's going to be in it.
I'll watch that tonight.
He's a great actor. He really is a really good actor. His character, I didn't care for the representation of him in Aquaman, just because I thought it could have been better. It just was a little silly. But he is a great actor. He was awesome in the Watchmen HBO series. Very good. So he's playing Candyman, the character of Candyman. And the whole idea is that, in fact, I'm going to read the little thing on it. So so it stars Yaha Abdul Mateen, and he's basically an artist in Chicago, in Cabrini Green. And Cabrini Green is where the first one takes place. It's like a housing development project area in Chicago in the first one. And he's an artist, and I guess he starts sort of finding out about the history of this Candyman character through some paintings and going to art shows, and it starts just coming to life through him because of his interests or whatever.
So he's the new Candyman.
He is, but they're connecting it to the original one. So it's like the Candyman has existed before. It's almost like it's a passing of the torch type thing, from what the way I'm understanding it. And so, like, Virginia Madsen was in the first one.
I remember that. She played Helen, right?
I think that's her name. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's playing, her character's in this one, but she's not
in the first one.
Right. But her character's in this.
Yeah.
Well, she became the Candyman though, kind of. Because remember at the end,
yes,
it illuminates that she might be like the next version of it, which anyways, they show a shot of a girl in this trailer that looks just like Virginia Madsen. But the reason they didn't get her now is because they said that she hasn't aged the way they wanted her to remain in this movie. But it's not supposed to be like the way they did the Friday the 13th or the way they did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Let's just retell it. This is not that. This is like the Halloween 2018, but it's also, I'm really not sure how they're doing it. That's part of the mystery of the film. But look at this picture right here. So I showed you the picture of Tony Todd. That's him. And you might know him from the Final Destination movies and all that. But
yeah, usually a bad guy.
Most of the time he is. He's got a great voice. Now look at this. This is a part of the new trailer. This is a shot. And I noticed this right off in the very first time I saw it. But this is the new guy playing it, Mateen. He's walking past this Suburban. Now look at that picture in the Suburban.
Yeah, is that Tony Todd?
It ain't him. It ain't Mateen, that's for sure. And they specifically show that shot in the trailer. It's like, I'm just wondering if it is sort of this like curse of the Candyman and passing the torch type deal. And he's like,
so is it going to be like a possession? Is he going to possess him? Or you're going to find out tonight.
Yeah, to be honest, they have not given anything away. And the best part that I've heard about this film is that not only is it really scary, but everything you've seen in the trailer is not a correct depiction of what the movie is that you're going to see in a good way.
Good. Another trailer that's done its job. That's what you want.
Yeah, like they're saying the trailer's making you think, like almost convincing you that it's going to be a little more lighthearted than you're expecting. And from what everybody's saying, that it's not. It's brutal, and it's really. One guy said this. First off, he's like, "All right, guys, I just saw Candyman. There were moments in this I was shaking, and that doesn't happen." So when people were responding like that, I remember when I saw Devil's Rejects in the theater. That was the first time in a long time that I was just like.
Sure.
Like it truly affected me as a horror film. And like, I'm walking out being like, whoa, that got me. And I need that to happen because it hadn't happened since then.
Yeah. I mean, when you've got movies like The Conjuring and things like that, you want to go back to old school a little bit. You want that like 90s, 80s feel.
I want it to get me, man. I want it to where I can't think about it. I want to go check behind my shower curtain when I get home, make sure nobody's behind there. Like, I just really want to have that feeling to get scared again.
Yeah. And the older you get, the harder it is to achieve. So yeah, like good luck. I hope it happens for you.
And you get desensitized. You know how it is. So anyways, but Nia DaCosta is the one directing it, and she is getting all kind of praise for this. And so much, apparently the praise of this movie was so well in the beginning, because this has been filmed for a long time. Remember, it was supposed to come out a year ago, is why she got hired to do this one. So Kevin Feige must have seen something in her.
That's good. Yeah, that is good.
So not only is she's jumping on as an early director to some decent films and getting good jobs, but I mean, these are massive franchises, and they're definitely going to try to turn.
I mean, I just hope that it's not like the guy who did Chronicle and then obviously went on and did Fantastic Four, which wasn't as good, because I think Chronicle's a fantastic film. But
no, I think she's got more in the tank.
Yeah,
Josh Trank.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be making a Chronicle too. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't know that. Is he going to be doing it?
I don't know. But it's in the works right now. There's more story to tell, they said, but we'll see.
I don't know if I'd want a sequel to that movie.
I think part of its charm is that there's one of them,
Yeah.
I love little secret films that it just exists like that. It was like, that was badass, which is what The Matrix should have been. We said that yesterday. If it would have just been that, it would have been awesome. But real quick, I jumped to Nia DaCosta doing the Marvels. I wanted to say one of the things that's really got me happy about this Candyman trailer is I've always had this problem and question about the hook. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the hook from the first one. That's Virginia Madsen, and that's a scene of the hook coming through the mirror and everything. Now, I always was like, how is he stabbing these people with that hook? Is he like scooping them? And then getting them, like, how is he getting in there? It's just sticking straight through him out the hook and everything. It just, to be honest with you, one of those silly things. And normally that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. It's one of those silly things that always bother me. Well,
yeah, you'd have to fish.
Yeah, you have to, or you got to hook it up, scoop it underneath to get it under there. Kind of like they did at least in I Know What You Did Last Summer. He attacked him that way. He either came across or he came underneath. You know what I mean?
I think it's put too far around. On that last picture that you just showed, it just seems a little bit too hooky.
So look at this. This is the new one. So this is the first one, and this is the new one. Now this is perfect. I always said they should have done this, but they sharpened the other side of it.
Yeah.
So now it makes sense how he could kill you with any hook. Yeah.
He's going to get you from the back of the head, isn't he?
He can do whatever. He can chop your head off and scoop it this way, or he can shove it straight through your back without having to hook you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyways, just that kind of stuff just makes me happy that they're doing those little things. Cause to me, I was just like, yeah, he's threatening, but how does that work? So anyways, not focusing that on anymore. Moving on to the main thing that a lot of people are probably, if you did look at this thumbnail, is Jurassic World, your favorite.
Dun, dun, dun. This franchise needs to end, in my opinion. So let's get it ended.
All right. So real quick, tell me what you didn't. Okay, you like the first one, right? The first movie.
The first one.
Of course, everybody
I still love it. It's just the moment with the kids when you first see the T-Rex. That was lightning in a bottle, as you always say. I don't think they've been able to recreate that since. Then Lost World was a disappointment. I remember me and my friend was the only ones in the cinema, which was amazing. We couldn't believe it. Like, it was empty, and I thought, this is Jurassic Park. The first one was in the theaters for a year.
That's funny you say that, because the second one, when I went to go see it on opening night with my friends, this was when we were very young.
I didn't go on opening night.
It was sold out.
Yeah, I mean, it probably was, but when we went, it was just us two in there. And I just remember thinking, this just doesn't have the same charm. And then the third one, I didn't see that in the cinema at all. Like I was already like stung by the Lost World. There is elements in the Lost World that I think's really good, like that, you know, where the T-Rex again and they're in the truck or the trailer and it's all falling. I like that part. But when it goes to America, that's where I switch off. It just feels too much like King Kong to me. And they've tried to do it again in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, and that's why I'm just like, I don't like that.
You know, sorry, what were you going to say?
I just don't believe that they would transport them like that, and there'd be chaos again, like there was in the Lost World. It's like they were mirroring the same story, and there was a bad guy who was, you know, to do with money and all that. For me, it didn't work.
Yeah, to be honest with you, the Lost World is probably my least favorite one. That's probably the one that, I don't really care for. To me, it has a sequel vibe in the sense of like, I always hated it when sequels do something in the movie to be like, we're back. And it's like like at the beginning of Ninja Turtles 2.
Yeah.
When Secret of the Ooze, that whole thing, and they're like boom, boom, and they jump at the screen and it freezes. It's like it's already cheeseball. And I feel like that's what they did in part 2.
What about part 3? Do you like that more than part 2?
I do. I enjoy part 3 has more of I like the jungle vibe in part 3. There's more that feels more of a scary jungle. And I like that the pterodactyls or the pterodons, they go into that big birdcage thing. To me, it just has a scarier vibe. Now, it definitely has some holes in it, but I do think it's better than part 2. Part 2, the visual effects didn't work in some moments. I thought it was really shitty.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
They were going to more, they didn't have enough of the actual animatronics. Whereas in part 3, all the close-up raptor stuff is still animatronics. And that, to me, that's why it works.
Yeah, you need that balance of if it's all CG, you just don't feel like you're connecting with it. And that's the beauty of the first one. You know, like the Triceratops, that was all animatronics, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, no. And there was 3 main animatronic ones they built in that one. And one of them was the T-Rex. And then one of them was that Triceratops. And I think the other one was the
Dennis Nedry one. I don't know what that was called.
No, the one that has the spits.
Yeah. I can't remember what that one's called, but I know the one you mean.
The one that got Newman in the eyeballs. So other than that, and of course they would incorporate little things with their puppeteers and things like that, but actual full-on animatronics, those are the only 3 that they actually did, but they were in the movie significantly. But this one now, with part 3 coming out, Jurassic World, they've confirmed that all of these people are in it. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes, I did. And I think the only reason they've brought them back is to try and get the people who loved the original ones to love this trilogy. Because I don't see this as like a complete, how many of them is it? It's going to be 6.
This will be number 6.
Yeah, I think Jurassic World it went off into its own thing. Like I said, with the vehicles, that ball thing that the kids are in. Like, I just don't believe what. I didn't like it because it's not something of this earth. Like, all right, you've got the dinosaurs in there. Like, I'm that prepared to believe that. And then start bringing technology like vehicles like that. I just thought this is all CGI, and it took me out of the movie.
So, I mean, I could see that part personally didn't bother me. What really bothered me about Jurassic World was them focusing on the human clone daughter.
Yes.
Do you remember that? Yeah. And they didn't bring it in until Fallen Kingdom. But that's where I was just like, all right, what are y'all doing? This is stupid. Who cares about this? This is a dinosaur movie, and now we're getting into what this isn't Species.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, you were talking about how fans of the original ones wanting to see their thing by them including them in this new one. That's why, that's the whole goal, is to get fans from the originals in there. But they definitely are trying to conclude it up into one final story arc. In fact, Colin Trevorrow, the director, and he's the one who did the first one, and he's doing this last one. He says that he wants this to actually tie up all the movies. That's why they're all in there. He wants it to feel like it concludes both trilogies, because the first 3, if you think about it, they were episodic and there was never really a conclusion. They were just The Adventures of Dinosaur World, you know?
Yeah, it was like, yeah, they could have kept going with it if they wanted to or not. So yeah, if he wants to wrap it up, I'm more than happy for him to wrap it up, because I just think it's done now. Like I said before, we've seen King Kong, we've seen Godzilla, we've seen everything, like the big monsters. So to see a T-Rex is like a big deal. Godzilla, I've seen him fire lasers out of his eyes. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have the same punch as the original Jurassic Park.
Now, see, I felt like the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it was, I didn't like the opening scene because I thought it was just like, all of a sudden we're just thrown in this situation and let's save the dinosaurs. Like it felt very rushed. I wasn't in it. Yeah, it was really sad watching that brontosaurus be left on the burning fire and explosion. That was like, oh, I never thought I could feel so bad for a CG dinosaur, but that made me cry. But I liked it when they got to the Haunted Mansion part.
I've seen it twice, and I just do not remember it. I just remember thinking, I don't like this. And I don't know why I didn't like it. And yeah, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, you're not the only one, man. A lot of people don't like it. And right now, the ones that exist, it's obviously part 1 is the best. I think that part Jurassic World is the second best. Then it's part 3. Then it's Fallen Kingdom. Then it's Lost World. So Fallen Kingdom and Lost World, like the 2 part 2s, those are my least favorites.
Yeah. I'd have to rewatch Fallen Kingdom again just to refresh my memory.
Chris Pratt's, Owen is his name in it. He's charming and all that stuff. There are some things that don't work about part 2, like the comic relief, like the kids, the 2 young doctors, the girl and the guy, like they just bugged the hell out of me the whole time. I just couldn't stand it. I don't like that. Don't force comic relief into a movie.
I don't like the villain as well. The way there's always like the bad guy with the money,
Sure.
It reminds me of like Jack Black trying to bring King Kong back to America.
Sure. And that fits for that story because that was part of that story. But now it does seem like they're just rehashing. I mean, I don't know if you remember The Lost World was an original movie back in the day in black and white. And it was all like dinosaurs coming to life into humanity.
Yeah.
And that's why that was his homage to Steven Spielberg's homage to that was calling it The Lost World Jurassic Park. I don't know if you know that. It's not called Jurassic Park The Lost World. It's The Lost World Jurassic Park. Look.
Yeah. So, I get it. I mean, that was based on a book, wasn't it? Was it Michael Crichton that did that one as well?
Well, he did all of it. And the first 2, but The Lost World, the original movie, was like back in the black and white days before Michael Crichton ever existed. He used that title to make a cooler story that was sort of reminiscent of something that he was inspired by, and he still called it The Lost World. Whereas this movie was a Michael Crichton-ish movie, but it was more of Steven Spielberg's chance to pay homage to a film he grew up on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that's why partially it didn't work. And that's the whole dinosaur at the end in the city. It's like, little cheese ball. And the first one was so serious and scary. And that's what I want. I want it to be scary, which is why I liked the Haunted Mansion part of the Dominion or Lost Kingdom. Anyways, I don't want to focus on that too much. I just think it's interesting that they are going to conclude not just this trilogy, but they're going to make this part 6 like the final story for all the previous films, not just the Jurassic World movies. So I think that's interesting.
What do you think they'll do? Do you think they'll like nuke the island, or what do you think they'll do to it?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, the dinosaurs at this point are in the world on Earth loose, because that's how Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom ended.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, finished like that, didn't it? Yeah, sorry.
So there's short films on YouTube there's one that Colin Trevorrow did and put it out on YouTube. It's like a 7-minute short, and it's these family camping, and all of a sudden these dinosaurs come and crash the campsite, and you watch it all from their POV version from the tent. It's pretty good. It's all like real good effects and everything, but it's sort of an interlude and an intermission video to show you this is what's going on in the world of Jurassic Park between part 2 and 3, or Jurassic World.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, no, that's good. Get a little bit of hype, a little bit of a buzz for it. Because I know that new fans are always joining. There's one born every day, because it's been going for how long now? Nearly 30 years. It's 28 years it's been going on. Yeah, I mean, it came out in the early 90s. 93. I've got this one right. 93. Yeah. So we're hitting 30 years in just a little bit. So that is crazy to think about that, man. Yeah.
we already hit it with Back to the Future and all that stuff, and yeah, now we're approaching 30 years with Jurassic Park. Holy shit!
Yeah, you feel old now, yeah?
Yeah, I feel old when I hear numbers, but I don't feel old. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
yeah,
inside.
yeah.
But
You can't. But it's more of a shock. It's like I can't believe that was 30
yeah,
years.
I
Like I'm
can't
still a
believe
young
it
man.
that long ago.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about Jurassic Park. Question is, are you guys excited to see Jurassic World Dominion? Are you excited to see it tie up all the loose ends? Are you done with it like as Maniac is? I'm always ready to see new movies and new takes on things. Doesn't mean that I think it's going to be great. I don't know what this one's going to be like. I'm still just like, hope it's good. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not confident in it. Like Candyman, I'm confident it's going to be good because of all the reviews that's been coming out and the people that I trust in reviews. Now, that's not going to hype. I'm still going to go in open-minded, just a clear slate. But Jurassic World Dominion, it is one of those, like, I hope it don't suck.
Yeah. It
Like
is one of those. Oh, I don't even go there.
So yeah, you know, that's what we should come up with that now. Like some sort of a, like, is it movies these days? It's either like, I hope it's awesome or I hope it doesn't suck. It's not like, oh, that's going to be great. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with something like Spider-Man, we're already saying it's going to be great. We don't know if it's going to be great, but in our hearts, we do. But with something like Jurassic Park, Matrix, it's like, I hope, like, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm begging.
It's very much a tiptoe, like, ooh, we'll see, I guess. But speaking of switching gears and some horror, though, real quick, because we were talking about Jurassic Park being scary. That's what we want it to be scary. So a new movie that I didn't know anything about, but with CinemaCon happening right now and with Fantasia going on, all these new movies that are like little underdogs are getting some little action here. So have you heard of The Black Phone? You there?
I've not heard of that, no.
No. So it's starring Ethan Hawke.
Black Phone. No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, he's Ethan Hawke and Scott Derrickson.
I like him.
So Scott Derrickson is the guy that did the first Doctor Strange movie, and he's going to be directing this one. Now, dude, listen to this.
Right.
This is where I was like, all right, I got to see this. He plays a mask-wearing part-time magician who kidnaps and murders children. Whoa.
I've always said if you murder kids, that's scary.
It is, man. That's what's partially scary about those Fear Street movies. That in part 3, that preacher who was killing all those kids and cutting their eyes out. That's jacked up, man.
Yeah, it's what I'm terrified of. So, like, this is why I resonate with Freddy so much. Like, I find him the king of horror because he kills kids, although they're a little bit older, but he originally killed kids, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, the reason he is in the place that he is in now is because he killed little kids, and now he's killing teenagers. And yeah, no, that whole storyline. I mean, we've always said that Freddy's arguably the best written of the big 3 characters. It might not be my favorite, but I think he's definitely the best origin. Yeah. You know what I mean? Coolest origin for sure. But this one, man, Ethan Hawke, this is a shot from it. It's called The Black Phone, and he is supposed to be a killer.
He looks the same.
Dude,
he looks the same as he always has been.
Dude, that's why he's called Handsome Hawke, man. Oh, Handsome Hawke. Now, remember, he cheated on Uma Thurman.
He's got a daughter that acts, hasn't he?
Yeah, Maya Hawke. It's him and Uma Thurman's daughter, and she looks like a spitting image between the two of them, for sure. Yeah. But Scott Derrickson, you know, he is a horror director, and that's why they hired him for Doctor Strange, and he got fired from Doctor Strange too. So I guess this is the project he's taking on with Hawke. And look, man, Hawke is a good actor. There's not much that I've seen Ethan Hawke in that I'm not like, damn, that's good. And he's held up over the years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's consistent.
I mean, Training Day, woo, excellent job. I mean, obviously Denzel was in that, and so you kind of get overshadowed by Denzel in that movie, but he really did a good job in that movie, being scared the whole time, and just, I think he's awesome. So I'm just excited to see what that's up with that movie, because again, I knew nothing about it. And anytime you're killing kids, like I said, look at that picture right there. You see the kids hanging in the background.
Yeah. Has he already done like was he in Sinister? Or
no,
like that?
He was in oh no, it was Sinister. I was thinking Insidious. No, he was in Sinister.
Yeah,
He was in Sinister, and he was also in The Purge, the first Purge.
that one I've not seen. I've seen the other two. I've not seen the fourth one.
You mean there's 5 now. The 5th one just came out.
5? Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And I can't even remember the names of them all, but yeah, the last one was the Forever Purge. And then yeah, there was one that was called Purge Election Year. Obviously, the original one was Purge. So election, and then there was just the Purge 2 or whatever that one was.
Yeah, it's just the same plot line every time, pretty much, isn't it?
It's stupid, man. I don't care about it anymore. The first one was good. It was great, but there's no need to
good
make
idea.
another.
I just think it should have been like mega R-rated. Like they had an opportunity there to absolutely go wild, and I don't think they took it. Like they kind of made it for teens, and it's like, nah.
Well, see, and what they did with the rest of them after that is they only made it for gore. So there was nothing to hold on to in the other movies to where because you were attached to his family in part 1. You know, it was a home invasion film. Yeah. So that you're rooting for people. Whereas in like the second and third one, to me, you're just like waiting for these characters to come along and do some slaughtering.
You're just waiting for it. Yeah.
So I'm not interested in the Purged movies. I haven't seen anything past the second one, to be honest, but I do like Ethan Hawke, and I am interested in this thing, The Black Phone. So just got me curious. And they're saying that it's shocking audiences. Like it's right now at the CinemaCon, people are just like, whoa. I mean, again, child murderer.
So, I mean, could he be a contender to play Freddy Krueger?
Ooh. I mean, what do you think?
We're talking about Kevin Bacon, but I mean, Kevin Bacon's in his 60s now.
I don't want Kevin Bacon doing it personally. He's too big of a name.
I did at the time, but it's been too long.
To me, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like that it would just be weird, Kevin Bacon as Freddy Krueger. I don't know. It just doesn't, the ring doesn't work well for me.
See, in this country, Kevin Bacon is on all the commercials trying to sell us mobile phones. So we all know who he is. You know what I mean? Like he's a household name, and he's been doing it for years.
He's huge over here, and he does some of those commercials here as well, and probably not as much as over there, but he does different commercials. No, he's massive over here. He's definitely legend status. I'm just saying, because of that, it's like Freddie. I don't know.
You want an unknown, maybe? Do you want somebody that you don't know a lot about, like Jackie Earle Haley?
Well, I think he worked for what they were going for. That just movie in general the direction was bad in that. They veered off in certain areas, and the acting was terrible by what's her name?
The Nancy character.
Yeah, Rooney Mara.
I don't even know any of the cast members.
Rooney Mara played Nancy because she's in like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the American version. She's in a bunch of stuff. She's a good actress, but she did terrible in that. And she even came on record being like, yeah, I just don't, this is just some horror movie. I don't care about it. It's like, what? Yeah, to you, it might be a horror movie, but to other people, this is like God to them.
Yeah. You know? like we'd all been waiting for it.
Yeah. Why would you sign up to do this? I mean, you have to be aware of what Nightmare on Elm Street means to people.
Yeah.
So I think that's what ruined the movie personally.
I mean, that made a lot of money as well, didn't it? It wasn't a flop.
It wasn't a flop, but it wasn't a success. People were mad about it. Yeah, like everybody went to go see it because everybody loved Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The Friday the 13th was partially well received. It was 50-50, and that's one that over time people have grown to really love. Like seriously, even myself, the more I watch it over the time, I'm like, you know what? I think I really do like this one. But when I first walked out of the theater Friday the 13th, I was a little like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be intense, like they did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a Rob Zombie's Halloween, and it was a little more like homage-ish.
So we're talking about like the Platinum June, like 2007 to 2000, whatever.
Yep.
And it was like they were just churning all the old classics out.
Yep. They were the kings.
Kudos to them for not making a sequel to it. I mean, I wanted a sequel to the Nightmare on Elm Street because I thought maybe they could improve it. They could improve, and they had one in the pipeline, and they were saying in the sequel his face is going to be more deformed and more bad.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't mind it, but they went too CG with it all. You know what I'm saying?
Like, you know, using a lot of CGI, and it's like, nah, you can do that with practical effects. You don't need to do that.
And Yeah, and I didn't mind his Freddy and his version of it, and I thought it was very scary, but that just they didn't have it figured out as a package yet. You know what I mean? A movie's supposed to be a package, and that package wasn't complete, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
But like I said, the Friday the 13th one, the more time goes on, the more I really have warmed up to that one, and like I'm happy with it now. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I actually really love that one now. So, I'm not sure what is going to be happening with more remakes now, but the lawsuit's over with Friday the 13th. I don't know if you knew
So
that.
what does that mean? What does that mean for the future of that?
That means they can start making movies again, because it was just an ownership between the name Friday the 13th and the character of Jason Voorhees, which, believe it or not, their likenesses aren't connected, because the guy who wrote Friday the 13th never came up with a machete wielding maniac who wears a mask. He just wrote the story of the mother. You know what I'm saying? He didn't write the sequels.
Right. Okay.
So the writer of the original Friday the 13th, right. So Jason was owned by Sean S. Cunningham, so they could make Jason Bourne. So for example, part 9 is called Jason Goes to Hell. There's no Friday the 13th in there. Part 10 was called Jason X. Freddy versus Jason. Again, no Friday the 13th in there.
Are they classed as canon?
Oh yeah, no, they're all a part of it. It's just because the name, they couldn't use that name as far as ownership. A lot of time, because they bought the rights to Jason, New Line bought it back in the day, and then they ended up losing it. But that's why they were able to do Freddy versus Jason, because New Line owned Freddy.
Right, I'm with you.
But at the time, the 2009 deal had happened with Friday the 13th. It was in some sort of like a purgatory. That's why they were able to make that movie. But
yeah, I remember that era of time, and I just remember thinking, like, this feels cheap. Like, it feels like, I don't know, like they've got the rights to this and we're just going to churn something out. But like you, it wasn't a bad film. The Freddy one was.
No, the Freddy one was a
Chainsaw Massacre. I enjoyed that as well.
To me, that's the best of the remakes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I really like the Rob Zombie's Halloween as well.
Personally. I need to watch those. I've not seen them.
The part 2 sucks. Part 1's really good, in my opinion.
Right. Okay.
Well, hey, we'll end it at that, man. I don't want to just keep dragging on. We're about to approach an hour, so that's what I like to keep it at. But thank you guys for joining those so much. And look, as always, I you know what? I don't have the graphic up here, so I'll get it some other time. But if you weren't able to comment on the show and you want me to talk about something, send it to BrassReelBobby@gmail.com, and I'll definitely respond to it. Anything that me and Esmaniac can talk about. We also got some trilogies and beyond discussions that'll be coming up soon. Anything about trilogies and franchises, we're just going to dive in that and discuss it. And then this weekend, I definitely am going to be having my my Candyman trailer for sure. I'm going to see that tonight, and I'm really stoked. In fact, I'm getting ready for it right after this. I'm going to put Candyman, the original, on in the background.
Do it.
So, hey, man, tell people where they can find you if you don't mind real quick, and what you do.
Well, what I do, basically I make fun of movies and edit them into different ways. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. I make quizzes as well on movies. So yeah, you can check me out on YouTube. It says Maniac, EZMANIAC. So yeah, check it out.
As Maniac, that's right, man. Well, dude, thanks so much for joining me again, man. And like, we're going to be doing this pretty regularly. I think that the thing about as Maniac is he's going to be joining me on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think is what we've kind of figured out, at least for right now. And then hopefully like every weekend we'll be doing our trilogies and beyond and our in-depth discussion of some sort of franchise. So,
all right, buddy.
Hey, man, thanks for joining me again, dude. And have a good one. And guys, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so already, so you can help us make it to the top. Help us get up there. Hit the like button too. That always helps. And hey, I'm not going to do my show tomorrow because, like I said, I got the review to work on. But check that out, and I'll see y'all on Monday. Peace.